But also we should not be penalizing companies for doing much better and growing their companies. And in today's economy, I just want to ask you, in today's economy, is $750,000? Isn't that just too low?
Ma'am, well, first of all, the $750 is net worth excluding equity in a home and excluding equity in a business. So the net worth level is, in most cases, going to be dramatically higher. Secondly, I think the way the statute reads is we're looking at personal economic disadvantage, but it's applying it to a business program. So as a business person sitting here, I think we've got a little bit of a mismatch, frankly. So if you're asking me what describes personal economic disadvantage, I would tell you that most of those people are going to be in the top 10% net worth in our country. If you're asking me what puts somebody in a competitive position as an overall business against other businesses in that area, I think it's an entirely different analysis. But my understanding is that's not what the statute leads us to.
Why is that your understanding?
That's what I believe that's what it says, individual economic disadvantage.
Does the SBA concur that an owner of a construction company, given that it is a very capital-intensive company, needs a higher net worth than the owner of a janitorial service company?
We're not talking about the net worth of the company. Your proposal is the net worth of the individual in addition to the network of the company. So I think those are two different discussions.
We're talking here, my question to you is the owner of a construction company. We're talking about the individual net worth. I'm not talking about the construction company itself.
And I think if you're asking about the competitiveness of a construction company owned by an individual, you need to look at the capitalization of that company when you're considering its ability to compete effectively. And that's my initial comment, is I think we're sort of talking about apples and oranges.
No, those are not apple and oranges, Mr. Preston.
Ma'am, if I have a construction company that's got $5 million in net worth or $20 million in net worth, and the individual has $100,000 in his bank account, or an individual that's got $1 million in his bank account but no net worth in the construction business, I think those are two different analyses, and that's why I'm perplexed by the question.
Doesn't he has to personally guarantee the bonds? Doesn't he have to personally guarantee the loans?
In many cases, but you're asking me about competitiveness.
Let's go now and talk about a program that we have been talking since, I don't know, I just can't recall, but this is a question that I hate to ask, and I know that you hate to answer. But here we go again, Mr. Preston. The regulations to implement the Women's Procurement Program have been in OMB under a 90-day review since March 21st. More than 6 months. In your testimony before this committee on February 8th, I asked when the program will be up and running. You told me that you hope to be through the regulatory process this last summer. And your deputy administrator was here on September 19th again, and I asked the same question. And I have heard every excuse in the book as to why this program is not up and running. So tell me why this committee should not take action at this time to get this program implemented.
Well, I agree that it is taking a long time, and it's taking too long, and it's taking longer than certainly we expected it would. And so I share your frustration, and I understand it. I will tell you that in spite of these delays, we have had many people in our agency heavily dedicated to try to get this thing across the line. And we committed to work hard to get the RAND study done. That happened. We promised you that, or we told you we hoped to make it public when it came out. We made it public right away. We put preliminary rules in the interagency process in April, and we've been working on it very hard since then. Yesterday, we resubmitted a proposed rule to the interagency process, which incorporates everything. Our understanding is, based on the issues that have to be addressed, our understanding is that under the Administrative Procedures Act, we need to go to proposed rule. So it's back in the interagency process. And we will continue to do everything we possibly can to support the 24 agencies that need to review it and the other departments in the federal government to help them through the process.
Will that mean that the 90 days
It means that
clock will start
the
again?
90 days clock starts ticking again, and then it'll be available for public comment.
You're lucky I'm not the previous chairman. Mr. Manzullo used to threaten witnesses here, including the CMS administrator, to bring their toothbrush and toothpaste until things got done. Maybe we need to start adopting that. Let me ask you a final question now. In November of 2005, the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia found that SBA had unreasonably delayed implementation of this program. The court found that, and I quote, the defendants have sabotaged, whether intentional or not, the implementation of a procurement program which will have and will likely benefit women-owned businesses. Given that 2 years ago the court determined that SBA had unreasonably delayed and there is still no program, I ask you again, why should Congress not act?
Well, I'm not telling you not to act, ma'am, and I understand you have
We will.
provisions in your bill.
We will. Thank you, Mr. Preston. And